All right, guys. A little bit of a different video than usual. I think this is one of the first and only videos that we're putting out that's not an interview or a breakdown or a preview. The day has come. It's something that I've been kind of dreading, to be quite honest. And even as we record now, I'm still not 100% sure. How I'll put things or what I'll say. I've been very nervous about doing this one. But we do have an announcement, and the announcement is essentially that I'm going to be stepping away from Submission Radio, and I'll explain everything in just a second. Um, basically, uh, basically, when Dennis and I started, times were very different. We started this in 2014. We were both 24 years old. We both had jobs that we didn't really like. We worked at these crappy office jobs. I worked for Australia Post at a call center. And so we started Submission Radio basically as like just something fun to do, just like a hobby basically. We were on radio previously and it was like, let's do that, but let's, podcast of the future. Let's do that. And there was never any intention of like turning it into a business or anything or making money. It was just like, this is just something that we're passionate about. And obviously, 10 years down the road, a lot changes. One of the things is that at the time, I didn't really have a career. I didn't finish high school. It was something that always ate away at me as like, hey, this is all great, whatever we're doing now. But what am I actually doing in my life as far as how am I going to have a house and a car and all these things? I didn't want a family because I was like, I can't pay for stuff like that. And so I would do random odd jobs. I would work in factories, call centers, restaurants. I was Ubering up until like 2019. And then in 2019, I was very, very lucky to follow in my father's footsteps and go into the disability industry, which is what I do now. And that's essentially my job. That's my career. And that's what I do 7 days a week for 60 plus hours a week. And for a very long time, and hey, Dennis works as well. Dennis also has a full-time job. Dennis has a family. So we basically moonlight with Submission Radio. And even now it's 7 a.m., but we've been on here since around about 6 a.m. I woke up around 5 a.m. So it has been it has been a grind, and it has been a grind for a very long time. But because of sort of my circumstances and not having a career previously, I've almost for a long time not really said no to work. And so with that comes more and more responsibilities, more and more tasks. And because it's my business, I have to, try and do the best things possible. But it's essentially gotten to a point where I've been very much struggling for a long time to juggle both. And the thing that people may not understand is like the schedule is very volatile. There's a lot of things that fall out of place and guests fall through, and things happen. This past Monday, we were sitting around for an hour after after having 12-hour days at work, coming home. It's 8 p.m. We were supposed to get somebody on. Great get. Apparently they were a minute off, and then we sat there for an hour and never heard back, and still have no idea what happened. And this is just a common thing where you're scheduling things with people from all over the world. And but it really it eats into your time, and it makes it very difficult to essentially have a life. There's been times even recently where, for example, my girlfriend has been like, hey, can we go to dinner tomorrow night? And then we check and it's like, well, no, we're going to record somebody at 7:30 p.m. After having work all day. And so and then it's like we tried to get somebody else as well in that same time frame. Like, while we're recording, let's do two people. And then, as it turned out, one person pulled out. These things happen, and then the other person had technical issues for over an hour. So it's kind of like, well, that evening's done. You know what I mean? Like, I can't. No one can get that time back, and then of course it means that we have to record later in the week. So it's already halfway through the week, and then it's like, do we record Thursday? Do we record Friday? And those days are already booked because I got to be at work, and I have long days. But we still have to put things out and put out content, put out videos, and so it has become just insanely, I guess, stressful and anxiety inducing just not knowing what we're doing when we're doing it, because that's just the nature of the beast. It's not that it's anyone's fault or anything like that. That's just how it goes when you try and do, interviews with people all around the world. And I haven't been wearing it as well as I was in the past. Now being 34 and now having sort of different priorities and just having a lot less time. Dennis and I spoke. We speak all the time, but I spoke with Dennis a few months ago and just basically said, listen, I'm not sleeping. Even today, like I'm running on like 4 and a bit hours sleep. I've got a 12-hour day and I have to find time to, put these videos out. And that takes hours. It takes hours and hours and edit. So if you're working a 12 to 14 hour day and you've got another 4 hours of editing, it leaves. And then not to mention the prep, the hours and hours of prep the night before. You're getting home at like 10 p.m. and then it's like, got to prep for a 5 a.m. start tomorrow. I still got hours to do that. So it just it has been getting a lot lately. The other thing that also in the background of all of this that I've been dealing with is my health isn't the greatest physically. I've been suffering from dealing with chronic pain for the last 4 years. And to try and be fully transparent about that, basically, 4 years ago, I was in, I think, relatively good shape. I would diet all year round. I like to stay active and go to the gym. And then I woke up in March of 2020, and it felt like someone had stuck a screwdriver in my back, my lower back, around the sacroiliac joint area. And I thought, I must have tweaked something at the gym. And then, a few weeks later, it was still there, didn't get any better. I saw an osteo for a few months, didn't fix it. Chiro for a few months, didn't fix it. I got x-rays. My pelvis was all sorts of twisted and misaligned. I saw physios. I saw surgeons. Like it's been a huge journey. I spent over $10,000 trying to get these injections and procedures to get it fixed. Even just to see the surgeon was months and months of waiting and every day just being in excruciating pain. The injections took 4.5 months. In the end, it didn't work. I got sent back to the surgeon. He referred me to another surgeon who's like, it must be your hip. Let's check your hip. I had a torn labrum in my hip. My private health wouldn't cover it, so I had to wait for, even longer. In the meantime, my left shoulder went, and so I spent 8 months rehabbing that. That didn't work. And then in May of 2022, I had 4 surgeries in 6 months. I had my hip done. 4 weeks later, I had my shoulder done. A couple of months later, I had hernia done, and then in October, I had another surgery for some other things. And to say that, well, the surgeries just fixed everything would be a complete lie, because they didn't. They fixed certain things, but to this day, I'm still dealing with that pain, and it just I don't really know how to put it. I'm in a better place now. And certain things and certain, like physical therapy and stuff like that has given me some improvements. But even like this Monday, my back has flared up in a way that it hasn't in a very, very long time. And it just shuts you down. It just breaks you. And, chronic pain is one of those things where like you can't just, I'll just lay down or I'll just get into a better position or whatever. It's just like something that's there all the time, nonstop, and you can't run away from it. And, you can't. And I still work 7 days a week. I still work 60 plus hours. I still do submission radio on top of that. And it's like, you just don't get a chance to like, stop and really, you can't really live life, but it's also like, it becomes maddening. It becomes maddening where it's just like, I'm in a bad place at times and I'm in so much pain, and it's like, it doesn't matter. I got this many hours left in the day. I got this many hours left in editing. And it's just like, somebody has given us their time in the morning and been, gracious enough to have a chat with us. It's like that video has to go out. And if I'm fucked up, it doesn't really matter because it has to go out. And, got to do the editing and the thumbnail and transcribe and all these kinds of things. And it becomes absolutely maddening. And like I said, I'm in a better place now. Like I've had some improvements. I've still got a long way to go. But at my worst, like I needed painkillers every day just to get through the day, all sorts of opioids and shit. And it's like, dude, I'm 34 now. This started when I was 30. these are 80-year-old problems. These are not 30-year-old problems. This isn't what I had planned for my life. This came out of the blue. So it's a big reason why I have to step away, because what I've realized over the last few years is that health is wealth. I know it sounds like such a cliche thing, but it's like you can have anything in the world, and if you don't have your health, it is just impossible to enjoy these things. And I realized also that like my work-life balance was completely fucked, and it's something that I need to fix. I want to have a kid in a couple of years, and my biggest fear is that I'm not going to be able to bend over and pick my kid up or play with my kid, because even now sometimes like I'm struggling to bend over to tie my shoelaces, and if I bend over the wrong way, it fucks my back. And so it's like, yeah, working the schedule that I have been, and throwing myself into work as almost like a therapy, so I don't think about these kinds of things. There's pros and cons to that. It's great because you stay busy and it's kind of good for your mental. At the same time, it fucks you mentally because you don't get a chance to catch your breath. And I think that my priorities, I don't regret anything, but my priorities have been sort of wrong, in the sense that you're chasing certain things, and sometimes you just need to stop and see the forest for the trees and just be like, I need to focus on health. I want to get myself out of this, and sort of go back to being me, go back to enjoy life. I used to walk around at 80 kilos, now I'm 100, not by choice. It's just like this is kind of what's happened. So that's basically the long and short of it. Like I said, I didn't know exactly how I was going to phrase it today, and apologies, if I'm rambling. And yes, I see the irony that here's me complaining about all my pain and woes and this and that, and yet we cover a sport where people literally beat the shit out of each other and go into the octagon with broken this and torn that, and all sorts of horrendous injuries. And I'm sitting in front of a camera in a relatively comfy chair. Like I see the irony of that, but I hope that it comes across that there's a lot of factors that have basically come to this decision. So yeah, I'm sad, Dennis. Like we've spoken about this. This has been in the pipeline for a couple of months. The chapter's not finished. Dennis, you're going to be continuing, right? I'll let you get a few words in, because I feel like I've been talking for 6,000 years.
Oh, no, man. No, look, just before, and I just wanted to say before we finish out this video, before I talk about what sort of we'll be having with Submission Radio next, I just want to thank you, man, because I can't believe it. Like I've been pretty upset like over the last couple of weeks, and I've been really sort of dreading this conversation, only because, I love doing this thing with you so much, and we've been doing it for so long. And anyway, but I just want to say thank you, because what I realized is an epiphany that I had was, I've been incredibly lucky to be able to do it with, basically my best friend for such a long time. And the other thing that I realized is that, you're one of my favorite interviewers to sort of get a chance to sort of see do their thing, and we got a chance to do it together. So it's been such an enjoyable experience. And I know the people are like, well, blah, blah, blah. But imagine being in a position to do something with your best friend, to do it for, 10 years, and to get a chance to do something like this with them every single day, and go from year 7 to getting trouble in school to doing this and writing jokes in little notebooks to, being able to speak to the biggest and our favorite athletes in the world. It's just been a really, really special experience for me. So it's something that, it's just been really good. So thanks, man. Thanks. I mean, it's just been really, really fun to get a chance to do this together. And, thanks for all the awesome sort of memories that it's cool, because, they get to live on. You don't usually say, hey, we can go back 7 years and look at this moment we had together with this guy on YouTube, but it's cool that it's all sort of documented and you can go back and check it out. That's really cool.
100%, man. And like, obviously you know this, but like, I feel exactly the same way. Like in a lot of ways, like you are and have been, the heart and soul of Submission Radio. It was your idea at the end of the day. I didn't come up with the concept, and you've always had that like creativity about yourself. Even now there's other things that you're doing, other endeavors, because that's just you, man. And that's a huge reason why we've been able to do the things that we've been able to do because you just kind of go for it. You just hit up this person or that person, or you try and get us here. And it's like, that's not really a skill that I naturally have, but you have that, and I always kind of have said you're like the Ari Gold of like, our show, because you're doing all the liaising, you're doing all the, the sponsors and, talking to this person and that person, getting the interviews. So yeah. And like you said, it's been an amazing ride. And this is one of the reasons why, we wanted to come on and kind of like, just be fully transparent, because I would hate for anybody to be like, oh, what's happened? They must have had a fallout. There's no fallout. Like Dennis said, we've been best friends since year 7. What was it? 2002, 22 years. That doesn't change. And, yeah, I will say, man, like you've been insanely supportive since we've had these conversations, since I said, how I've been feeling and sort of dealing with this. And that was my biggest fear, man. Like, obviously it's hard to walk away from something that, like we built this together 10 years ago, you know what I mean? And it's funny, full circle, we were doing it before work and now we're still doing it before work. But it like I said, it was just something that we were doing for fun. And walking away from that is hard, but the hardest thing was that I was worried of disappointing you and breaking the news to you, man. But you've been phenomenal. And like you said, like I know that, maybe it came across very like negative or whingy or whatever, what I just said before. I'm just trying to be honest about, what I'm going through. But the reality is, like, most people are not this lucky. Like, literally 2 guys, 2 best friends who basically were like, fuck it, let's just see what happens. Let's just see how far we can take this. To have the memories that we've been able to, have and make, and the greatness that we've been able to witness, and just, be like a fly on a wall for so many crazy moments and events in this sport's history, and the amazing people that gave us their time, being able to go to Vegas and Madison Square Garden and seeing, I don't know, even just like seeing, I know the BMF follows the BMF belt, but just like seeing The Rock in person, and like, just all the crazy access that we've had. At the end of the day, we've always tried to be professional, but we are fans, deep down. We all are. Everybody watching this and listening and that follows the sport, we're all just fans. So it's one thing to do those things and make those memories. It's another thing to do that with your best friend. I mean, we never lived on the entourage lifestyle. It was never Vince Chase and the boys living in a mansion. But I feel like, to me at least, this is like as good as it gets. There's nothing better than doing stuff with your best friend and sharing those memories. So yeah, I want to say a massive thank you to you, man. And even like the last year or 2, like I feel like you've been sort of carrying SR. And there were times where I was like, yeah, dude, I don't know if I can go on. And I didn't say anything for a long time, but your drive and sort of motivation a lot of the times kept me going. So I know you'll do a phenomenal job. You'll obviously still be continuing on. And I'm excited to see it, man. I'm excited to see what you do. And yeah, it's great because the SR kind of, memories, brand, whatever you want to call it, it lives on through you. And yeah, there's no better person to be doing it. So I appreciate you a lot, and I love you, man. It'll always be like that.
I love you too, man. And I just quickly as well, I just want to give you a shout out, because for people that don't know, when you watch a video on our YouTube, Casper is the man behind the edits, the thumbnails, the titles. When we do the live stuff, he's the guy that figures out, okay, with Christian, our videographer, or Justin, it's been Christian for the last few ones. It's, how the shot's going to look, what this is going to be like. So, dude, you've done a remarkable job. And a lot of this stuff you taught yourself on the spot. And, and I don't want, I don't want to sound kind of like, oh, like we're so great, blah, blah, blah. But, man, like the stuff that you've been able to do with submission rate has been my favorite, like one of my favorite things to watch. Just like, man, this guy is so clever the way that he's done all that. So I just want people to know the great work that you do behind the scenes as well. I guess the good news is Perth is just around the corner, and even though we won't be doing these shows together weekly, you'll still be joining us for the live coverage, man. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, man. So yeah, I like I can't do the weekly recordings anymore. And like I explained, like it's not as simple as like, Monday we sit down, we record and this and that. It usually it is always all over the place. It's like Monday turns into Tuesday, it turns into Wednesday. People don't pick up this, that. If sometimes you feel like a doctor on call, like it's 24/7. Like you just don't know when someone's gonna be on or when someone's not. So I given the amount of attention that I have to put into my actual career, I can't be available for the weekly recordings. But I did say to Dennis, I said like I didn't know whether you were going to continue or not. So I was just kind of like, look, what if we just do events and kind of do that? It's a lot better that you're going to continue on. But I'll be at UFC Perth. I'll be at UFC 305. It's a little bit different and it's a little bit easier. Not that covering events is easy. There's still a lot of work, and I can't wait to see the boys. I can't wait to see Oscar Willis and everyone else who comes down. But I think for people who think like, oh, it's a big hangout and beers, it's really not. It's hours and hours and hours of just like sitting around, editing, trying to get this person, trying to get that person, trying to get as much extra content as possible. Most days are incredibly long. But the easy thing about it is it's kind of singular focus. I don't have to worry but that I should be at work right now, or I'm editing SR, but I'm technically at work, or, like I'm going to see a surgeon and I should be at work right now. The events are kind of like easier in that sense where it's like, I'm in Perth, nothing else matters. Nothing else that's happening in Melbourne, not this, not that, nothing matters. We can just focus on that. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully being a little bit sort of mentally refreshed. Hopefully my back and my shoulder are not too fucked up. But either way, we're going to have a good time. It's going to be good fun. And like I said, this wasn't exactly rehearsed. I didn't know what I was going to come on and say, but if I don't get the chance, I do want to say a massive, massive thank you to everybody. No bigger thank you than to yourself, Dennis, but also to anybody who ever gave us their time and was willing to have a chat with us. A massive thank you to every fighter, every guest. I don't want to start naming names because I'm going to miss out on people, but just everybody who's ever given their time. Every media outlet that has ever covered us, that has ever, put our interviews or videos up or anything like that. I feel like the MMA community welcomed us with open arms almost instantly. There's a lot of people that I could thank individually, but I don't want to forget people. And then of course you guys, the listeners, the people that have made SR anything. If no one watched, then it wouldn't be anything. So a massive thank you to you guys and the overwhelmingly positive comment section that we've always been lucky to have. And like, it's crazy. I know that like I haven't been responding to comments as much as in the past, but like some of the people that have been, tuning in and watching for like 10 years, it just blows my mind. Yeah. Like I've always said, we're just a couple of just random dudes, a couple of friends trying to have some fun. So to have people listening for 10 years, it blows my mind. So a massive thank you to everybody. And thank you to you, Dennis, for this journey. And that's it.
Thank you to you as well, man. And listen, everybody out there, mark your calendars, UFC 305. We'll be back at it again. And I can't wait to do this with you live, man.